Okay, so this is just going to be a quick little tutorial on how to do this graphing stuff in Excel. I made this data set up. We've got two types of data sets. So we have a set of data here. This could be, for instance, process data of 5 different levels of IV, level A, B, C, D, and E. Totally meaningless, just again made up. And then type 2, so perhaps potato and liver or something to that effect, right? But then 5 levels of the IV. To graph this data, what we want to do is we're going to highlight the data, and I've highlighted both data sets, and I've also highlighted the independent variable, which would be my x-axis data. And then I'm going to go up here to insert, and when the options come up for inserts, one of the things that we can put in is a chart. So Excel is very, very powerful when it comes to this stuff, and it's really good at building these types of charts from the highlighted information. And I'm going to do a scatter plot, and you can see this is a point scatter. Here's a scattered with some smooth lines and markers, and then we've got straight lines and markers and things like that. So let's just put this one on here. And I've made my graph. And so clearly what you can see in this graph, hopefully, is we've got the data sets. So type 1 here in blue, which we can have here, and then type 2 in orange. And what I don't have is the correct x-axis labels down here, but we'll get to that in a moment. Also, this graph would be what we would consider bad form. Chart title is not a title for a chart, and no labels on the axis. So that needs to be cleaned up. But that's easy enough to do. For that, what happened, let's see if you picked up on that. When I clicked in the graph, these two design and format options opened up here. So if I click out of the graph, they go away. If I click in the graph, they come back. When we look at design is just that, right? So it's how fancy or different styles of graphs that we can do. Leave it at the default. What we want to do is add some elements to our graph. Axes, titles, chart titles, etc. So the axes are there, but we want to put some titles on them. So when we looked at our data, right, we've got our primary vertical, and for us, this was the rate or the amount of bubbling, something to that effect that we want to have here. So we can type that just by, when I click there, I can type amount. We're going to be in this, so we're going to click right here. And then I come up and I can type up here, or I could type on the side, but I'm going to type it right here. Amount of bubbling. And remember, for this particular lab that you did, this was an arbitrary, so there was no unit here. But almost all the time you would have, if this was the rate of the reaction or something like that, you would want to have the units that go there. If it was the distance traveled, some type of unit for that. But that's what we had as the average amount of bubbling, which we can click, and that comes in. And then we can do the same, again, design, chart elements, axis titles. We can do the horizontal, and this could be, let's put this as, maybe we could talk about pH level or something like that. Okay, pH. And if we have pH, right, this is obviously not a pH scale at the bottom here, but we would adjust that as needed. And now for our chart title, we can either click here, and we can type directly, which we could do. But again, if we go to design and chart elements, if you look at the chart title, we can put the chart above it. We can also put the chart title as an overlay, and that just sort of depends on spacing for you. But either way, let's give this a chart title that's a little bit more appropriate than chart title. So again, here we can type up in this box and do the same thing. We can call this amount. No, I did not, but I will in a second. As a function of pH, and again, when we type, in it comes. Okay. So here we have a graph. It's got our labeled axes. It's got a title on it. It's got the data points. And for this particular time, that's pretty much all you would need for this one. Okay. I hope that helps. If you need any specific help with Excel, just let me know.